Hello, everybody. Just letting people in here. We're going to start in a minute or so. Pretty excited about. I personally am very excited about listening to this presentation today. I won't steal any of John's thunder, but I think we're going to learn a lot. So I'm really excited. We're only 10 seconds away from top of the hour, but I still see people coming in. So we'll give it a minute or so. Before the top. We've got some housekeeping to do anyways here at the top of the hour, but give me about 10 seconds. We'll get going. All right, well, we definitely are past the top of the hour. I'm going to get things going. I'm very excited today. This is the second in our series, Tri-Merit and the Unique CPA series on practice management topics. We're going to be doing this each month. Keep an eye out for next month's topic. I'm very excited about what we're going to be doing here. As always, we're giving this away for free, sharing our knowledge. And today it's not me sharing my knowledge, but John Hubbard. We'll get to him in a second. This is for CPE. That's what we're sharing. And you need to make sure you stay logged in for 50 minutes. You need to answer 3 of the 4 polling questions that will pop up during the presentation. During the presentation, if any questions come up, please put those in the Q&A tab. I guess before I even said that, I should ask you to put it in the chat, not the Q&A right now, that you hear me, that you see John's slides up there titled 5 Strategies That Will Accelerate Your Firm Growth. Someone please chat that in and make sure that I know I'm not talking to a brick wall right now. All right, good. We're good. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. All right. With that being said, CPE, you've got Q&A. Put it in the Q&A tab. We will try to get those as they come in, and I will rudely interrupt John and just say, "Hey, John, we got a question." But with that being said, I'm going to stop talking. I'm handing it over to John Hubbard. John is a shareholder with Boomer Consulting, and John, it is all you.
Randy, thank you so much, and big thanks to the Tri-Merit team for having me on and be a part of this series. I'm really excited to talk with you today about the 5 strategies that will accelerate your firm's growth. And I have a challenge ahead of me here, and that is to keep this topic within just 1 hour. I spend a lot of my time talking about these topics, but they're usually in a longer format via a workshop of sorts. So I will do my best to stay on time. For those that are not familiar with me, as Randy mentioned, my name is John Hubbard. I'm a shareholder and consultant at Boomer Consulting. So I do a lot of speaking, a lot of consulting, a lot of facilitation of workshops, things of that sort with firms. And largely my time is spent in the area of growth. So I do a lot of visioning, strategic planning, things of that sort. And I do a lot of that around growth related topics. And it's been a really fun season over the last year or so working with firms, because firms are looking to grow in what we say smarter ways, not harder ways. And hopefully you resonate with that. I've been in a lot of firms this year, and I have never heard anyone say we have too many of the right type of client. It's always, we have a few great clients, or or a few percentage of our overall clients are really target clients. We want to grow those, and we want to figure out how to move away from non-fit clients. And so, among other things, that's where I spend the majority of my time. So that's just a little bit about me, so you have a little bit of context for who is speaking. All right, for those that are not familiar with Boomer Consulting, this really summarizes who we are in one graphic. Okay, so we work strictly with the accounting profession, whether that's firms or whether it's software providers or vendors to the accounting profession in these 5 areas. And we're going to be taking a deep dive today in growth. So while we do a lot in process, talent, leadership, and technology, we're really going to be honing in on that lower right-hand corner of growth today. Before I dive into the 5 strategies, I think it's important that I frame up a larger conversation or a larger perspective on where we see where the profession is today and where they're going, because that will provide context for the growth strategies, right? These growth strategies your firm is looking to implement or to create tactics and strategies around really need to be aligned to where your firm is going and to where the profession is moving. Okay. And so I'm going to start with sharing a few key things there. Some of you may have seen this before, but we have a graphic called the Continuum of Value. And I'm going to build that out in front of you right now. And then I'm going to explain it. The Continuum of Value is one graphic that really, arguably, every one of your services that your firm is offering can be mapped out on this continuum. And by doing that, it is really helpful to see the context in which all of your services are currently living. Okay, so let me break this down for you. On the left-hand side, we see hindsight, insight, and foresight. And kind of across the middle there, we see technician, advisor, and consultant. Don't get too caught up in the actual words of technician, advisor, and consultant. You may use different terminology or different words in your firm, but pay attention to the bucket in which those terms are creating. Okay, so let's think about your traditional compliance services. Okay, those would fall into the hindsight and technician type role services, right? They're a service that tells your client about what last year looked like, hindsight type information. Here's what's true about last year or about the past, things of that sort. Really valuable services, but they fall in that category. Okay. Then, largely built on those types of services, come more advisory type services, which we've all been hearing about for the last decade, right? Even though firms have a lot of opportunity in this area, we've been talking about it for a while. But really, built on top of those compliance or technician type services is offering more insight to your clients, maybe more coaching, maybe more education around what those numbers actually mean. This is that more of that advisor type category. You have a suite of services that fall within that. But then we have services that are more consulting in nature, and they're actually more focused on helping your client see into the future, chart their future, build their future. Okay. And this takes a different type of role in your firm, that more consultative approach there. Okay. Types of services that would fall in this category would be more like strategic planning, succession planning, visioning, things of that sort. Okay. Now, here's your competitive advantage. And all of this is providing context for us for when we dive into the 5 growth strategies. Here is your strategic advantage. Here's the strategic advantage of our profession and why we're so bullish on our profession. And that is your ability to combine all these services in a package and offer these in a tiered way to your clients. And I mentioned earlier, I'm in a lot of firms every week. I'm in 1 or 2 firms working with them in these areas. And I'm no longer surprised, but it is consistent that firms are not utilizing this kind of strategic advantage they have built. Maybe they have built a diverse team internally that offers these types of services. They have a service mix that is across this continuum. But when it comes time to getting that in front of your clients, either your current clients or prospects, we see that there's a lot of room for improvement in there. So as I move away from this slide, I really want to encourage you to ask questions, make comments into the Q&A. You're not going to interrupt me at all to see a chat come through or a question come through. I would actually encourage it. It helps with the dialogue. Okay. But this is in one graphic where all your services fall. So if that's true, well, what does this mean for your actual firm? Well, that continuum and the reality of that continuum is actually changing the physical structure of most firms today. Okay. So the firm of today, or you could say this is quickly becoming the firm of the past, here is built like your traditional pyramid. Okay. Where you have a few leaders at the top, maybe they help chart strategy for the firm. Below that is a huge emphasis on building relationships, client interaction, right? That's usually one of the key skills we're wanting people to learn if they're on the path to partner or they're looking to take more of that C-suite leadership position in the firm. Then you have, managers, things of that sort, supervisors, and then you have those that are actually doing the work, as we say it. That's a traditional model. But what's starting to happen, and this relates to the continuum, what's starting to happen is that triangle is starting to look more like a diamond, okay? Where the traditional structure of the firm is starting to get wider in the middle. Because we're offering more advisory services than ever. We're offering more consulting services than ever, or what your firm should be doing, right? So we need more expertise across the middle. We need more coaches. Maybe we need project managers. Maybe we need data analysts. We have HR consultants, technology consultants, data analysts, things of that sort. It's kind of the widening of the middle. And what's chipping away at the corners of that traditional model is what we say is outsourcing or automation. Where can we outsource work to give us capacity internally? And I know you're probably thinking, every time you hear outsource, you think about tax and you think about India. And that's kind of where most people's mind go. And while there's a lot of firms successfully doing that right now, and that's nothing new, outsourcing across all areas of your organization, marketing, business development, administration, key functions across the board. People are saying, how can we outsource tasks so our people can spend time on more important things? Then from an automation perspective, and this is the same as outsource, as I said, this is not just for tax, right? Though that is true, there's a lot of automation happening. There's automation across every function of your firm. What can we automate so our people can be spending time on their highest and best use? That's really what we're focusing on. So with that being true, and feel free to put into the chat whether you agree or disagree with that. Again, want to make this as much of a dialogue as possible. With that table set, firms are changing their understanding in terms of the value that they're delivering. Now, when people hear value, we hear things about value pricing and things of that sort, and that's true. But what I'm talking about here is what value is a firm today providing to their clients across the board? The firm of the past has largely been focused on, hey, our value is probably 80% technical, 20% maybe relational or emotional, right? People come to us because we are the technical experts. We're the smartest person in the room. We're technically correct. We know tax like no one else. We've been around since 1972 by a brother and a sister and 2 dogs. And we have, decades of experience and, all these things. And really what's happening is we're having more of a client-centric view of value, where clients by default, table stakes, expect us to be the technical experts. That's just a given, right? So firm A, B, and C, we have the same expectation for each of them in terms of their technical expertise. But what we're looking for is more relational, is more emotional, is more focused on that client experience, right? Every one of you on here have probably heard a client say, I want more proactive advice. I want more education. I want to feel like you understand our business. Those are the things that aren't technical in nature. They're more experience driven. So that's affecting and that's influencing how we grow as a firm. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, though this is usually when I'm doing my workshops and things of that sort. This is usually big component of what we talk about is when you think about your firm creating value to your clients. The firm of the past is a firm that is taking walk-in clients. Clients are bringing to you their problems in tax and saying, we need a CPA to do our taxes. And you say, hey, we can do that. We have the education, we have the experience. We can do that. We're confident we can do that. What's happening though, and why we're still talking about advisory 10 years later, and some firms haven't made as near much progress as they should have made over the last 10 years. And I say advisory, but that's true for even more true for consulting services as well, is because of the 4 C's you see here. Okay. In order to create new type of value for your clients, it actually starts with commitment. Let me give you an example. We believe every firm in the country, every firm in the world should be offering strategic planning services to your clients. Okay. I don't have enough time to get into why, to really break that down. But that is a new type of service for most firms. That's a new skill set. That's a new approach. That's a new mindset to even offer that type of service to your clients. And it starts with commitment. You need someone in the firm that is committed to making it happen, right? Committed to selling the tickets and then producing that show. And then after they have that commitment, they need to use the courage to actually go out and deliver it, right? To learn from actually delivering that service. And only by doing that can you then develop the capabilities needed to be confident that you can deliver that service. So it's this new way of creating value for your clients is almost making us work opposite of how traditionally we've operated as a profession, which is why we've struggled for so long to maybe grow in the ways we know we need to be growing. Okay. So we call this the 4 C's. It's really powerful. We don't have time to break this down even more, but this is the reality of what's happening. I just got a comment from Stephanie here. You are speaking to all of the matters that are paramount and dominate my thoughts. Great. All right. That's good. We're on track there. So we're going to do polling question 1. That was kind of the setup. Okay. That was the setup, the larger overview that's providing context for the strategies we're getting ready to dive into, but I really wanted to provide that. So first polling question, I like to keep them easy so we can focus on the content, but is value determined by the client? Is value determined by the client? Okay, so as people answer this polling question, feel free to finish answering that. Randy, anything to add to this polling question or any comments?
Nope, but we have 100% participation, so I'm going to end the poll. I'm not going to share the results, but just tell you.
I can tell you the answer is yes. Value is determined by the client.
That's what pretty much else said, what everybody said. So
yes, right. Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't think it's determined by the client, you're probably missing opportunities to deliver amazing value to them. So growth strategy number 1. There is a reason this is number 1. It is identifying your target client or clients. Okay, so I've been doing this a lot, doing a quick time check here because I get rolling and I know time gets away from me. But I've been working with a lot of firms on this, and I have made a couple decisions around this conversation. And that is to remove the word ideal from the conversation. It is not identifying your ideal client. Ideal client has a tendency to bring up in people maybe emotions or feelings that, hey, my clients aren't ideal according to this target client strategy. So therefore, I don't want to engage in it. I don't want to commit to it. It's not about who's ideal and who's not. We know that there are differing of opinions there, but what we're facilitating partner groups and leaders of firms, to actually decide is to say, who are our target clients? Okay. We don't need more clients. We need more of the right type of clients. And we need to identify our target clients. Okay. Now, why is this important? And again, this is why this is number one, because everything we're going to talk about is going to be related to who your target client is. Part of the issue of where firms are today with too many clients not paying enough, too many 1040 only clients, your staff are overworked, and it's largely related to those types of clients. The reason why we're in this situation is because we were afraid years prior to actually define a target client, because we were so afraid of what that meant for non-target clients. So don't think about what it means for non-target clients, or don't think about, does that mean we have to fire everyone or let everyone go? That's not a target client. No, that's not where we're going to put our energy right now. What we're going to put our energy toward is defining a target client that's right for your firm. And why this is important: this drastically influences your marketing. It drastically influences how you develop business to those target clients. Right now, your marketing's too vague and too broad. Your business development process is too vague and too broad. If you're like a normal firm, your messaging and content that you're putting out is too vague and too broad and not resonating with target clients. You're not offering clear packages of services. Your pricing model is largely based on after the fact, on hours, versus proactive up front. Service and experience, it's hard to tailor that because you're not targeting clients well enough. You don't have a handle on your growth and evolution. So, every week, maybe someone's bringing in a new client, but you're asking yourself, is that the right type of client? Is that client part of our future? And then capacity and staffing. One issue we're helping firms with right now is around capacity and staffing. And the leaders in that area, firms are saying, which are great questions, are saying, how come we're busting our tails to hire, retain people that are going to be serving clients that are not part of the growth of our firm, that are not part of the future of our firm? Isn't that a really great thought? Most firms are hiring and staffing and retaining staff to serve clients that are not part of the future of the firm. Okay. And now that firms can no longer hire and staff as quickly as they used to, they're being forced to actually define target clients, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, it kind of took this situation for people to get there. So how do you define target client? All right. If left alone, a group of us accountants, CPAs, number-driven individuals will sit around. We'll maybe export a spreadsheet from some database. We'll bring it up. We'll start doing rows and columns, and we'll spend all this time analyzing the numbers. And when we're done, we're not actually any more clear on who our target client is. But we have found these 6 key questions. And, honestly, the best way to go through these six key questions is to be facilitated through the process, because when you're so close to it, it's really hard to, or it can be difficult to truly answer these questions. But who are the types of clients you want more of? If I were to hand you 10 clients today that you would actually be really excited about, and don't worry about the fact that you probably can't, you probably don't have the capacity today to take on 10 clients, but just ignore that for a moment. If I were to hand you 10 clients today, that would get you really excited. What would be their characteristics? What would be true about them? Would they fall in a certain niche or industry? But what's true about them? What are their characteristics? And even target clients have challenging characteristics. Some of the challenges target clients have are, well, a target client like this requires us internally at our firm to communicate with one another, right? Department A needs to be working with Department B. We have to have a coordinated client service approach. We can't be using 2 or 3 different softwares to request information from a client, things of that sort, right? That's a challenge for most firms today. How much revenue will they generate for the firm, right? When I do these workshops with firms, I actually have everyone write down their answer to this question before they share it. And I hear everything from $3,000 a year to $100,000 a year. Okay. So work through, what size of revenue are they generating for the firm? What are 3 common services this target client would have, and what are 3 additional services they would grow into? When you finish kind of going through this exercise, you have a much better picture of exactly who your target client is, and it's so easy to communicate that to others in your firm. Now you're able to actually develop strategy. The only reason you want to create a target client is so you can create strategy around that. If you have a target client defined, but it's defined in a way that doesn't allow you to create strategy, why even define it? Okay. So now you get to ask yourselves questions. Okay, we have these target clients defined. Do we have current clients today that meet this criteria that we feel are underserved? Okay, the vast majority of the time, the answer to that question is yes. And here's a percentage I'm going to throw out to you. Okay, with firms that I work with on this, within the first 18 to 24 months after they define their target client and they build a strategy around it and they are going after them, roughly 70% of their organic growth is coming from current clients. That means you have a whole host of clients that are underserved. So if you care about client service, you should care about target clients, because you have clients today that are severely underserved by you. Okay. But then you get to answer questions like, well, which departments actually share a target client? So this is especially true for larger firms. So when I do this for really large firms, sometimes we have multiple target clients based on niches or divisions and things of that sort. And what we see is actually, hey, these 2 or 3, departments share a target client, or there's a lot of overlap with their target clients, but they're actually not packaging services together, or they're not working together in any coordinated way. Okay, which is a huge problem and a huge missed opportunity. Okay, again, we're all about working smarter, not harder, growing smarter, not harder. Okay, but then you can read some of the other questions there, right? Who do we need to speak with internally to develop a coordinated strategy? What service offerings from other departments could our service packages include? What are the ways our department can help another department drive growth? Is that more of a one firm approach? Okay. So the question I'm asking you that I want you to write down and think about this, and feel free to actually put it in the chat if you want, is where do you need to better define your target client? And simply put, yes, we need to better define our target client. Or maybe you've recently done this and you're like, wow, it's been really helpful. Put that into the chat. Or maybe you're thinking specifically about a certain niche or industry that you really need to define your target client better. Put that in chat. Would love to see that. All right. Growth strategy number 2, offer 3 core packages. Sometimes this strategy is actually more difficult for firms to get their arms around than even the target client, or it's at least equally as difficult in most cases, but they really quickly learn how valuable this is. So let me talk about some best practices around offering core packages. Okay. When we talk about putting 3 types of core packages together for your target client, we always want to give options that package services together. You've built this firm with a diverse skill set, diverse expertise, yet you're not packaging those together in a way that's focused on the client. Okay. All services become more valuable when packaged together. Think of that continuum of value graphic I showed you. Each of those services individually becomes much more valuable when it's packaged with other services. So if you're thinking, how do we make our compliance-based services more valuable? Package them with advisory and consulting services, and they all become more valuable. Okay. When we're talking about packages, all these options should benefit the client. We're not talking about putting together core offerings or core options that are not beneficial to the client. They all should be. Okay. They all should be clear and easy to understand. And I don't have time to break down this bullet a lot, but too often our clients are learning information after the fact, and they're learning information via written form as opposed to proactive conversations on the front end. So something I preach a lot of is clients should never learn something new in a proposal, agreement, game plan, in any sort of written form. Anything they get from you should be reiterating what you've already proactively discussed with them. Okay, so a couple best practices. So I mentioned that continuum of value. This is why we're doing it. We want to package these types of services together. Let me show you some samples or some concepts here. All right, so just back of the napkin in your notebook, something like that, you can literally draw 3 tables here and start to at least theorize about what your core packages should be. Tier 1 type services, a standard package, base level package, bronze package, whatever you want to call it, are typically just more of those compliance-based services with maybe a few calls, things of that sort. Tier 2 starts to include things like advisory services, and Tier 3 typically includes consulting. But Tier 2 includes everything in Tier 1 plus more. Tier 3 includes everything in Tier 2 and Tier 1 plus more. Okay, so a couple of examples here. This firm is calling them Accounting Core Plus, and the works. Now, think about this. Think about how in one graphic, one slide, you can have a very robust, valuable, high quality conversation with a client by saying, hey, for organizations such as yours, whether this is a current client or a prospect, hey, with organizations like yours, here are the types of services, types of packages we offer. Let's start the discussion here. Okay, I was presenting this session at the BDO conference. Okay, and someone raised their hand and said, hey, what if we're offering these packages and a client says, well, I want a little bit from core, a little bit from plus, and a little bit from the works. Doesn't that mean our packages are broken and that they're not that standardized? And I say, no, that means it's working. That means your package offering is working. You want clients to pick and choose from each. You're turning a binary question, which is, do you want to work with us or not? Yes or no, to a multiple choice, right? Another option here, package example 2. I mean, this is another one, and I don't have time to break this down for everyone, but these are real life examples firms are using to go to market. Okay. One of the things you really hate to hear as a firm is your client say, oh, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you offered that service. That's one of the worst things to hear, right? This helps that. Okay. So my question to you is, what 3 core packages could your service line be offering your target clients? What 3 core packages could your service line be offering your target clients? I was just coaching a firm on this yesterday, and here's my challenge to them, and it's gonna be my challenge to you. We're perfectionists in our profession, okay? And there's good reasons why, but I'm going to challenge you not to be a perfectionist with these 3 core packages. Literally don't spend more than 20 to 30 minutes brainstorming about this and come up with 3 core packages and challenge yourself to get that in front of a client during your next conversation. Okay. And you're going to benefit from it, and you're going to learn from it, and you're going to be able to revise those packages. But these packages provide a framework. Polling question number 2. Let's go ahead and launch that, Randy.
All right, launching.
Hey, Randy, looks like we got a question from Tammy. Will a recording be made available of this webinar?
Yes, a recording will be available. You can actually go, and we will send a link out afterwards, but it'll be on our YouTube channel, which Mark, who is the head of marketing, will get it out to everybody. I assume it'll go with the CPA certificates.
Yes. So thank you. All right. Question is, offering 3 core packages will help me have more holistic conversations with clients. Absolutely. The answer is true. Now it's all about how you have the conversation, how you frame up that conversation. We don't have time today to unpack that in full, but that's the whole point, having more holistic conversations with clients. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Growth strategy number 3, pricing. Evolve your pricing approach. Okay. Notice I said the word evolve and not change, because it's not about making a hard and fast move around pricing, as it is that firms are seeing progress, taking more of an incremental strategic approach to shifting their pricing in a way that not only benefits the client, but benefits the firm. Okay. And so let's talk about that. So, one concept you've probably seen in pricing here is around cost-led pricing and value-led pricing. So most firms right now, their history is based on cost-led pricing. We have a service, we understand what our cost is to deliver that service, right? We factor in time and billable hours. Here's the billable rate for John. This is how many hours he has. So those are, that's based off the cost we have as a firm. And based on that, we develop a price that we hope is competitive and we hope is in line with the value that the customer receives. And most of this is done after the fact, largely. Okay. And what's happening is this move to more value-led pricing, where the first polling question was who determines value? That is the customer, that is the client. Now they're going to need you to help them understand the value. And that's why those conversations up front is so vital. But if the client determines value and you have a strength in speaking with them about their problems, about their needs, and matching that with your services, then you base a price on that value. Now, sure, behind the scenes, you have some numbers that you understand. You want to be an educated professional in the sense of what we need to be pricing services at, and having pricing minimums and making sure you build in room for margin and things like that. But then you base a price off that value, and then it's your job as a firm to manage the cost and the delivery, optimizing the delivery, things of that sort, and focus on providing that amazing service. Look at these two charts, these two graphics. Notice they're completely flipped from one another, right? They're completely opposite. Most firms today, even though they don't want to commit, or they don't want to commit yet to true value pricing, because there's still a lot of questions around that. This is more value-led pricing. And so you can still come up with fixed price and things of that sort, but following that more value-led approach is honestly better for the client and better for the firm. Okay. So when we talk about pricing strategies, you see here hourly billing prices the inputs, right? How much time are we putting into it? So it's to your advantage as a firm, right? Based on hourly billing, to increase the number of hours you spend on things because you want to bill more for that. Okay. So no matter how more efficient you get, no matter how your expertise increases, or how more quickly you can get the work done, right? Hourly billing is saying the more hours we spend on clients, no matter what they are, the more we're going to get paid. Fixed fee pricing prices the outputs. Here's what a tax return will cost you. Here's what this deliverable will cost you. Here's what those monthly advisory calls will cost you. More of that output. Then you hear value pricing 1.0 about pricing the customer. So you could deliver the same service to 2 different clients based on who that client is and their size and revenue and all that stuff. Pricing is different. But then you're starting to hear more about subscription model, right? Paying monthly for services. This is sometimes referred to as value pricing 2.0. And this is more about pricing the relationship and access to you, right? So we see a lot of firms that are moving to that packaged model and then attaching a monthly subscription fee to that. And they're emphasizing the client's access to not just 1 or 2 individuals in the firm, but the fact that your firm has a full team of experts that can help them. Okay. And it's more relationship driven. So there are more services infused into those packages that are designed to build a relationship, like monthly advisory calls, half-day strategy sessions, full-day strategic planning sessions, in addition to all the tax work and all the additional services that a firm is offering. This is the new model, and we believe this is the model of firms that will be growing into the future. Okay, so let me unpack this a little bit. Is value conversation with the client. What if you're going to evolve your pricing model, you need to change what conversations you're having with clients on the front end. Okay, and you want to price the client, not the service, right? When people hear about value pricing, and most people think of Ron Baker, as they should. He's been preaching this for many years, so this is credited to him. Developing and pricing options, right? You want to give people options. You want to give your clients multiple ways to experience success with your firm. Okay, then you got to present those, have a conversation about it, but it needs to translate to a fixed price, right? You can break that into, a subscription, as well. Then you manage the service delivery of that. One thing we always get in conversations when we're doing this with firms is they say, well, we're packaging all these services together. Well, who's going to get the credit internally for those services? I mean, who's going, how much revenue is going to be attributed to tax? How much revenue is going to be attributed to consultants? All these things. And, that's a fine question, but those questions influence too much of our decision. We need to be thinking more about the client. The client doesn't care how you split the pie internally. Okay. And if we spend all of our energy focus on how to split the pie, and we're not presenting that pie to our customers in a way that's attractive, that maximizes value for them and value for us, then we're working against each other internally. Okay, but then this is where change orders come in, right? This is kind of your safety net. If you have a client on a fixed fee, that you can make change orders and pricing review. I said earlier, this is more about incremental change and rolling it out and becoming smarter every time you do it. What would it look like to get 4 or 5 clients on a monthly subscription around packages of services and review that 6 months from now? How's this working? Right? Do we need change orders to be implemented? Do we feel like this is easier than we thought? What's our learning that helps us be smarter for the next 5 clients? Okay, so that's where the pricing review comes in. And a big thing we're seeing, and I want to keep moving here, but a big thing we're seeing to help with pricing decisions, especially with larger firms, is putting a value council, value committee, pricing committee in place to help say, hey, when these target clients come in at this level, we want this committee to review pricing for a few different reasons. And it's not just to say everyone automatically thinks, oh, it's just because you want to make sure we charge enough. Well, that's one element, right? We don't want to underprice or undercharge our clients. But we also want to make sure that any awesome learnings that have happened through deals of this size, that we are able to help educate and convey those learnings to other people in the firm. Because one department may be doing this really well, one individual may be doing this really well, and another department over here, another individual over here has no clue, and they're not able to benefit from the learning. We are seeing these committees or councils actually be the right first step in this direction of becoming more sophisticated in your pricing, over hiring a chief pricing officer or a pricing director. There's nothing wrong with that role within firms, but we have seen that there can be a struggle with one individual being the pricing director or the chief pricing officer. There can be struggles with relationships and power dynamics between those internally that maybe are used to having autonomous pricing decisions, now having to report their pricing to a chief pricing officer or one individual. We've seen this committee actually work well, and then maybe firms end up hiring a chief pricing officer, but the committee learns so much that we recommend this being a good option before you hire someone, because you'll just become more informed on who you should hire, what type of person, what that role will actually be. Okay, so which approach to pricing will build the future of your firm? You get to decide that. I don't have to decide that for you. That's not my role, but I want you to challenge yourself. Write down which approach to pricing will be the future of your firm. Polling question number 3 here. Hourly billing is the pricing model of the future. Purely hourly billing will be the pricing model of the future.
I think you're getting through to them. They seem
I like
to be...
it. Progress, FOSS. It won't. There's probably some role for some form of hourly billing, but that has to be the minority, the smaller percentage there. So thank you. Looks like we got great participation on that question. Okay, growth strategy number 4, keeping it moving. Define your business development phases. I've ordered these in the way in which you should go through them. Okay, that target client, packaging of services, evolving pricing model. Now we're ready with those things set to say, what should our business development process, what should our phases be? We're really good as a firm, as a profession, thinking about process and workflow and phases for the tax process or the audit process or service delivery, things of that sort. But that needs to be true for business development too. So why is this important? Where you don't have a process, where you don't have phases defined, you don't have leadership. So it's hard to manage that. Okay. When I am speaking to large groups about this, I say, who cares about client service? Everyone raises their hand because everyone cares about client service. And I say, well, by default, then you automatically should care about the business development process for your clients, because you owe it to your clients to be good at this. If we're not good at our business development process and our business development phases, if we're not good at it, then we're not able to make their lives better. We're not able to improve their business. Do you think it's great client service that you have a large percentage of your clients that are drastically underserved? No, it's not. And the reason they're underserved is because there was not a strong business development process set up with them to ask the proper questions, provide the right options, to get them to do additional services with you. Okay. And knowing where you are in the business development process as a firm is crucial, right? One thing I have groups write down on paper when I'm speaking to maybe a partner group. I was doing this with a partner group of 20. And I say, when should pricing be delivered to a client? When should pricing be discussed with a client? And this was in context of a larger workshop. Well, we had 4 or 5 different answers across that partner group. Do you think price integrity is high when that's a reality? No, it's not. Also, because you don't have this process defined, clients are often confused whether they communicate it to you or not. They're confused about where we are, what's next in the process, what do you need from us? Maybe they get proposals from you or agreements from you, and they have more questions because it's confusing. Okay. And the other reason it's important is I promise you'll close more deals when this is defined. So here's a sample business development process. Now it's tempting to take a sample and just to copy it and say, all right, this is what we're going to do. You need to customize this for you. But again, I was just talking with a firm about this yesterday. Tell me about your discovery process. And we actually built out their discovery process of when you have a target client on the phone, whether it's a current client or a prospect, what does your discovery phase look like? What questions are asked? What are the key questions you need to ask always within that? Okay. And that's true. When do you share pricing? When do you start talking about your firm? And when do you share those 3 packages? Okay. That typically happens after, but we can't unpack it right now. What does the decision-making process look for the client? What's the workflow around sending the agreements and how you follow up during that? When you close a deal, well, what does that trigger? Whether it's a win or a loss, what does that trigger in other systems? So you make sure there's reoccurring conversations happening with the client. So which services and or niches need a better defined business development process in your firm? It may be your firm as a whole. You may be thinking about specific services or specific niches, but if your firm is normal, usually you can answer this question pretty quickly. Okay. Polling question 4. This is our last polling question, and then I'll cover the last growth strategy. Having business development, BD, business development phases defined allows us to increase the effectiveness of our BD process. I told you I like to keep them easy. I don't want to make you work too hard after lunch. Okay. It does. It allows you to be more effective with the client. And this is the phrase I want you to remember as you answer this question. You owe it to your client to be good at this. It is your duty to them to be really good at the business development process, because the whole point of the business development process is to maximize the value in which you can provide that client. Another way to say that is to maximize the number of problems you help your client solve to make their life better. All right, last growth strategy. Again, I told you these are in order for a reason. Growth strategy 5 is clarifying your message. Just imagine with me for a moment. Your firm did an amazing job. Step 1 through 4 here, growth strategy 1 through 4. You defined your target client. You have great packages. You've evolved your pricing strategy. You defined your business development phases. And let's say you stop there. You only did 1 through 4. Well, guess what? You largely missed the external manifestation of all those decisions, which is to clarify your messaging out to the marketplace, which includes your current clients. Your current clients are in the marketplace too, okay? So you have to clarify your messaging here. People buy services only after they read or hear words that make them want to buy those services, okay? So you wonder why your advisory services aren't growing as fast as you want? Take a look at the content you're putting out there. Take a look at your messaging. Take a look at your website. Take a look at what you're speaking about out there in the marketplace, right? This is crucial. We try and be all things to all people. We try and make our messaging, our website, the content we make available as vague as possible, because we want it to cast as wide of a net as possible. And then we're surprised or underwhelmed, maybe is a better word, underwhelmed by the lack of effectiveness in our marketing and outreach. When in reality, if you have your messaging dialed in based on the other 4 growth strategies here, you're going to start to attract and win and retain more target clients. So we practice what we preach here at Boomer Consulting. And years ago, I don't have time for the full story, but years ago, we went through this process and we actually revised our messaging. And I read a book called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And I loved it so much that I went and got certified in the framework he uses and teaches. And it started in Fortune 500 companies. And now we're taking it to the accounting profession. And I have helped, dozens of firms clarify their messaging out to the marketplace. And so if you want a good read, it's a nice, easy read, or download the ebook. This is a great book. But again, at a high level, we help firms get their core messaging on one page. Okay. And here's the reason I'm showing this. The messaging is about your client. It's not about you. Okay. So a key component of this growth strategy of clarifying your messaging is, how do you make your client the hero? How do you make your client the center of the story? And how do you establish and position your firm as a guide to them, right? Clients want to do business with you because they believe you're going to help them achieve what they want to achieve. They don't do business with you because you did a great job thumping your chest and saying how much experience you have and how great you are. They literally sign on with you. They pay you because they believe you're going to help them achieve what they need to achieve. So the more you understand that, the more you communicate in the messaging, the more people will actually pay attention. So when you benefit it, there's a common language, or when you clarify your message, you benefit from, or the ways in which you benefit are, you have a common language internally, right? If you're a team internally, you're not talking about the value in which you're delivering clients, don't expect your clients to understand. Okay. When you get the question, so what do you do? Or what does your firm do? You want to be able to explain that in a way that's compelling. You want to increase the effectiveness of your website. right? Most firms are underwhelmed with the effectiveness of their website, so much so that they've even just given up the idea that their website can truly generate anything for them, which is not true. They've just been using the wrong approach. Okay. Once you clarify your message, you can now produce high quality content that generates leads. Every firm struggles to generate content of any sort, okay, on a consistent basis. And what does that mean? Is there's a focus on quantity and not quality. So we'll take whatever we get. We'll sign up for any service that gives us any default articles that we can just post because we want to put something out there, but it's not doing your marketing any good. It's not promoting your firm in a way that's helpful to you. Okay. Once you do this as well, your client emails, your prospect emails become a lot more effective. And how you tell about the successes of your clients become a lot more effective. So the question is, where could you better clarify your messaging to drive growth? Where in your marketing and your messaging there's confusion or vagueness, where could you better clarify your messaging to drive growth? And actually, if you want to see some examples of good, clear messaging, go to boomer.com. That's our website. And you don't have to read everything, but just kind of scan it and see, because we've been through this process. Obviously, we practice what we preach. So take a look and just kind of look at a normal accounting firm website and look at our site and just at the difference. Don't pay attention to the graphics or the visuals, just the words, and see if you notice a difference. Okay. So to summarize here, with just about 5 minutes left, I stayed on track, right? Identify your target client, offer them 3 packages, get 3 packages defined, evolve your pricing approach. And if you have those packages defined, assign what a kind of minimum monthly fee is for that package. Okay. Define your business development phases and clarify your messaging. Okay. If you do these 5 things right, you'll be more competitive in the marketplace. Your clients will be happier with the services you're providing because you're providing more holistic service offerings to them. And honestly, from a staffing perspective, which we didn't talk much about that today, high performing individuals want to work in organizations that have these 5 things completed, right? Because this is where a lot of stress comes from for those on your team. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions. Randy, I can turn it over to you for any final comments or closing statements as we wrap up here.
Yep, I think one thing is just, if people want to get a hold of you, I guess going to the Boomer, would you say boomer.com?
Yes, go to boomer.com. You will see a contact form on there, and you can certainly reach out to me. What I will do to everyone here in the chat, I'll just put my email address. You can copy and paste that. It's pretty simple. John.hubbard@boomer.com. John with no H. So jon.hubbard@boomer.com.
All right, John. Well, I want to thank you for being here today. The second in our new series of practice management. It was awesome. Like I said, I learn a lot every time I hear you speak, and learned again today. So I appreciate it. And just so everybody knows, John has been great for our company. This is not just me talking. We've used John multiple times for multiple different things, and really has helped us form our strategy moving forward. And in reality, Nick Pantaleo, who is on today with us as well behind the scenes, is going to be going through the Boomer Leadership Academy next month. So he's really looking forward to that. So we are all in on the Boomer, and it's been great. A couple other things I just want to let people know. Next practice management series will be July 21st. It's going to be on business valuation topics. And I've said this before, but we are going to, and information will come out on this next month. We'll officially start promoting it, but the Unique CPA second annual virtual conference will be November 30th and December 1st of this year. 10 speakers, 10 hours of free CPE. So watch for that information. Any final thoughts for you, John?
No, just once again, thank you for having me on and be a part of this series. And if any of the participants have a question, I'm always happy to have a call and provide any guidance or coaching that I can. So thank you.
Thanks, John. And thanks everybody for being with us today, and stay tuned for more.